investor and mentor for CEOs who really want to leverage their authority and build resilient leadership. Today, I have an amazing guest. I'm talking to Morissa Schwartz. Morissa is an entrepreneur from a young age. She started basically in high school to run her first business. She is the founder and CEO of Dr. Rissy Writing and Marketing and Gen Z Publishing LLC. We talk all about marketing in those interesting times. Yeah? And hey, Morissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Met each other on Podmatch, which is an awesome platform. And you are in the business of writing and marketing. And we just had a quick pre-chat and we talked about that we live quite in exciting times, with all these new technologies coming up. When we record this, now it's mid of March. This week, the new version of ChatGPT has been released. And before we start talking about your history, your story, let's really jump right into this topic. So what do you think and how do you think it will affect your business? Because you are in the business of creating text, of doing search engine optimization and marketing. So what's your view?
Yeah. So it's great in a lot of ways, but it's also, scary to marketers in a lot of ways. I'm fortunate that I started out as a writer, but I swerved to become a marketing strategist and oversee a team and all that. If I would have stuck with just the plain writing route, I would be scared because ChatGPT can write very well. The most recent episode of South Park was satirically co-written by ChatGPT. I mean, it's everywhere. So, it can write really well. It's really cool. It can do research. It can make presentations. I was just watching a presentation that Google is unveiling this month, an AI that can basically write your emails for you. You write something like, tell them I can't make it. And it generates like 3 paragraphs explaining how you wish you could make it to this event and all this other stuff. It's amazing. So yeah, it's definitely going to impact not just marketing. I think pretty much every industry will be touched. But I think marketing and writing is going to be majorly impacted. And I've seen it personally. I got on a sales call about 2 weeks ago. And this guy who, this wasn't my favorite thing that has happened to me, but it made for a good story. He said to me, okay, I'm going to have you compete with ChatGPT, generate 5 ideas for social media posts for me now, and let's see who can do it faster. I was taken aback. I have my master's and doctorate in this. I've spent 10 years of my life studying marketing and writing, and this computer's just going to come in and, people are like, oh, it does it better. I don't think it's at the point now where it can compete with humans, but it's certainly more powerful than I think a lot of people expected at this early stage.
It's going towards this direction. I mean, I saw a post on LinkedIn where someone basically took a paper which one of the big 4 consultancy created. And they spent probably days or weeks doing this. And then he ran it against ChatGPT and got something out similar within seconds. So you really have to ask yourself, where is this leading to? It's definitely a time where we need to start thinking, how can we reinvent ourselves? How can we add value in the future? With all these changes coming up, and it's not only affecting blue-collar workers anymore, automation and so on. No, it's affecting really people with a degree, people who work in the knowledge industry, people who earned a lot of money in the past providing services, which now are gradually or even maybe faster move to being handled by robots.
Exactly.
But hey, it's an amazing future ahead. And I'm sure everyone who's really looking out and really understands what's happening can use this opportunity also to create something new for themselves. And this is why we have these conversations to really spark ideas and to give our listeners perspective.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your story. It's a very interesting story. You said you started in high school. Yeah. So what did you do in high school?
Yeah.
Apart from studying.
Yeah. Well, actually, my first business, I was 8 years old and I would sell Mighty Beans on eBay. So, that was a cute little thing, but it got me knowledgeable. Like, hey, you can make money online. I don't have to have a paper route. I don't have to sell lemonade on the front lawn. I can sell stuff online and people will buy it. So I was lucky that I learned that from a young age, and I learn how to adapt with technology from a young age, which I think that even with ChatGPT and everything we're seeing, the most valuable skill, and this is coming from somebody who spent, 25 years full-time in school, the most valuable skill is learning to adapt. Like anything that you learn in the books and stuff, that's nice. But as we're seeing with this technology development, the folks who haven't kept up, like it's tougher for them. So keeping up is tops. So I'm glad that I learned that from a young age. And then in high school, my friends were getting jobs at the mall and doing things they really enjoy. I had a friend who was serving at a restaurant. I had a few friends who were interning at hospitals and all kinds of things like that. But the thing they all kind of had in common was they were exhausted and they didn't enjoy what they were doing. They wished that they could have more time at home. And this was in 2010, 2011, where you weren't hearing about remote work. I didn't know freelancing was a thing. But luckily, my mother read an article in one of her women's magazines, back when magazines were still really popular. And she said to me, hey, I read this article about people freelancing on this website. Maybe you should sign up for this website and offer some of your freelance services. Okay. And I looked into it and I thought, wow, if I can make comparable money to what my friends are making, serving at a restaurant or being an intern, why not? Why shouldn't I try this? Exactly. So I did. Yeah, I signed up. And I started selling freelance singing services. I love to sing, and I thought people would like purchasing that. I was wrong. People did not want horrible recordings of a 16-year-old in her basement singing songs. So I moved on to the next service. I thought, okay, people want my music. Maybe they'll want my writing. And that was where I hit somewhere. So I started out where I edited a children's book for an author that turned into copywriting books, which turned into writing SEO copy for people's websites. And it just kind of morphed into a business from there that I've had over 10 years now. But it really just started from, I was a Biomedical Science Academy student. I was always doing medicine. I knew I wanted to go into a more creative field. So it really went from following a passion to going, hey, wow, I could work from home. That's really cool. And has grown from there.
I see a pattern there and a skill. I want to borrow this term from Tony Robbins, being resourceful. Yeah. So being able to create something out of nothing. Yeah. Being in your basement as a senior-old and just signing up on this platform. And you started off with singing, but didn't work out. Then you move to the next thing. Yeah. So this is a very important skill for an entrepreneur because hey, we all have these ideas, that we want to do something and that we think the world needs. And then we go out and no one is interested. It happened to everyone. It happened many times to me. But the important thing is not to give up, and not to just say, oh, I'm not good enough, but just to say, okay, that's not a topic. Just move on, do something else. And there are plenty of topics out there. I learned this. I grew up in the communist part of Germany. Yeah, in East Germany, and we didn't have much, And I remember times when people came to us, they couldn't call us because we didn't have a phone, So they came to us, hey, look, in this shop, you can buy shoes for your kids, yeah? So, well, my mother went there and just queued and bought shoes for the kids because nothing else was available, yeah? But this shortage created the skill of being resourceful and creating something out of little, yeah? And the same what you did. So you basically found your way into marketing. What do you think is the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs or people who need to market themselves?
There are a lot. I think the biggest, which kind of goes along with what I was saying, is the changing times. I still have clients coming to me going, hey, can you post this on Facebook for me? And I say to them, technically I could, but I think you'll get a bigger bang for your buck if you have me post it on like TikTok for you, more audiences on TikTok, there's more engaged people, and it's more of a blue ocean on TikTok. Like you post something on Facebook, maybe it gets seen by 100 people. You post the same thing on TikTok, gets seen by thousands of people. So I think that keeping up with the trends and knowing where your audience is and where in general people are and which forms are best for you is definitely important.
What I find in my work, when I work with primarily also tech CEOs, that many of them don't speak English. I don't mean the language, they speak the language, but they can't express what they're trying to achieve. They're in their box of doing really hardcore developing, they talk a lot about features and technologies, but not many of them can really express to an outsider what their value proposition is, what they do, what they bring to the market. And I think in my experience, this is also the job of a marketeer to take something complex and put it into simple language people can understand in a split second. Yeah, because we only have a very small attention span when you look at the message, no? And it contains lots of difficult wording, then we switch off, But when it's easy, probably not too easy, but easy in a way that's intriguing, then it would spark their attention, right?
Very true. Very true.
And I think there, people like you can really add value, because when you run something and you are in your box, so to speak, and often don't see the outside world. Talking about search engine optimization, which has been a very hot topic in the last years. I mean, there are tons of agency out there, and often you get bombarded from companies in India and so on, Pakistan. Hey, we can put you on number one of Google. And how do you see this industry developing? Now also the rise of a different way people will access information and look for information in the future using AI.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's going to evolve hugely. I think that SEO is going to become more dependent on social media as well. I've been saying for years that PR is a big part of SEO. So for example, if I get a client a guest post spot on a popular website, it's technically PR, but it's also helping their SEO because they get a backlink on this popular website. And I think that social media is kind of the same way. Like when you Google a company or a celebrity, one of the first things that comes up is social media. So I think that the same kind of thing is going to happen going forward with like AI, where people will be trying to rank for coming up as one of AI's suggestions or something like that. I don't know how that's going to work. But maybe it will, just the same way that like on TikTok, you put in specific hashtags to rank for the videos that they show under that hashtag.
What I always wonder about now in the rise of AI, how does it really affect the visibility? I mean, do you think a good optimized page in terms of SEO will have the same impact now as in the past? Or do you think there are different things more important?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like for my clients, I'll write them articles answering people's commonly asked questions. So for example, I work with this company that helps connect families who homeschool. So I might write a blog for them, like, here are 3 tips for helping your child socialize while being homeschooled. But in the future, somebody, rather than Googling that, might just ask ChatGPT. So yeah, those articles won't be as relevant. I don't even know. Yeah, it's just inevitable.
Interesting, no?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Last week, the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, and I started playing with Bing. Now Bing has the ChatGPT integrated, and I start chatting with Bing, and I must say I actually enjoyed it, getting sort of curated information out, and I learned more. I mean, I learned that UK, for example, has a large number of startups who've been client of SEB, which I wasn't aware of, and Bing sort of took this knowledge and curated it in a small summary and with the links to the other documents, which I quite enjoyed. So yeah, it will be really interesting to see how this all develops and how this is going to affect many businesses. Talking about social media, you touched on TikTok, one of the rising platforms. I also had the experience putting out something out on Facebook, only if you pay money to promote it.
Exactly.
So you think, for what kind of industries you think TikTok is a place to really be present?
Yeah, most industries, I think, are carving away. I've seen attorneys, I've seen physicians. I now follow a quantum physicist who I'm learning so much about that from him. Pretty much everybody is represented on there. Now, I don't believe that physician is having patients say, oh, I want to go and make him my primary care doctor because I saw him on TikTok. But I do think it builds his authority if he plans on becoming an author or speaker or something like that. I think that the businesses that do the best are B2Cs. So people selling their homemade items, small businesses. One of my favorite companies that I follow that has grown to be about 1 million followers right now is a company that makes bottled water that they give out to people for free because it's sponsored. Every label has sponsors on it, and that's how the water is paid for. Really interesting concept, and it's gone viral so many times because people find it very interesting. That wouldn't have happened on any other platform, but because they have these videos showing them giving out this water for free and how they did it, they go viral. So I think that companies like that, they're making big changes, social changes, anything creative. I see a lot of musicians blow up, so artists. That's your... I think the top audiences, But I do think it's not a bad idea for professionals who are looking to build their authority to be on there as well, no matter what you are.
It's not a kid platform anymore, no? I mean,
not even. Actually, more than half of TikTok's audience is over the age of 34 now. So yeah, it's really not.
Yeah. My kids, they hang around in Snapchat or whatever.
That's funny.
I don't see the point of Snapchat, to be honest. I hate when messages disappear after a while because I always want to keep them as a reference.
I agree. I like looking back at old messages, especially if like somebody moves away or something, you miss them. Yeah. Absolutely.
Also, this is probably will evolve with AI and new algorithm, and there's a lot to come. Going back a bit more real world, not social, more real world type of thing, I heard you've broke a Guinness World Record and you've been featured on MTV. I mean, I grew up with MTV. I don't know if, honestly, does it still exist? I haven't seen it for years. What was it like breaking a world record and what did you do?
Yeah, I made the world's longest chain of bracelets. So I've had arthritis since I was a kid. And part of my physical therapy was beating bracelets. And when I get into something, I get really into it. So I got really into my jewelry making. And I made 1,100 bracelets and made them into a big chain and broke the record, which was really cool. But then a few months later, a group of children beat me. So my record was broken. But then a few years later, I broke it again for a show on Lifetime. But yeah, it was quite an experience. But I did that originally when I was like 16. And then the show on Lifetime, I was like 24. So it's been many years in the making.
And how did it work out on MTV?
Yeah, so I've been singing also since childhood, and I had a goal. I wanted to be on a show like American Idol or The Voice or something like that. So I auditioned for every kind of singing show, and I was cast on one on MTV back in 2014 when they were still a little bit relevant, but on their way out. And it was their version of The Voice. It was called Copycat. And I got to sing on it. So I got to live my dream. They gave me a golden ticket, flew me out to Hollywood. I got to sing in front of millions of people and watch everybody in the audience voting on their phones. That was really cool. So yeah, that was a great experience.
Amazing. It's certainly something to look back, and it's always a good story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being on MTV, yeah, great. So what do you think, in order to really be successful and be on the right path, especially in times where there's been a lot of change, what do you think is the most important thing you need as an entrepreneur?
Tenacity, for sure. You can't get knocked down. I was actually just talking to my right hand at my company, James, who I feel like everything I talk about, I'm like, oh, I've been doing this since I was a kid. But literally, I went to elementary school with James, and now he works with me, and he's my account coordinator, manager, social media manager. He does so much at our company. And I was talking to him, and I said to him, look at how much we've been through in this business. First of all, just being a small business, starting out, it's tough enough. And, started when I was still a student. But then you talk about COVID, you talk about, if we're going through a recession now, whatever it is, it's not the easiest economic times. You have the AI development, all the stuff that we've been through. And then you have like the everyday stuff that business owners just go through. I grew up, my parents are both entrepreneurs, and my father told me in business, every day something is going to go wrong. You just have to get used to it. And I really saw that. I'm happy if only one thing goes wrong each day. So all these global challenges, plus the challenges of being a small business, it's not easy. And to be able to handle that, you have to have tenacity. You have to have a really special kind of personality, an entrepreneurial personality, to not let it get you down and to not give up. And I do understand when people get dismayed. And I have had a lot of friends who started small businesses and said, man, this is so much work and so much heartache. I can't take it. I get that. But I look at people like my parents, and they've been doing this for like 40 years, maybe more. And it's just like they have that grit. They kind of enjoy the roller coaster. So it really depends on your personality. But yeah, you have to have tenacity.
Yeah, I love this roller coaster example, because in the end, it is a roller coaster. It's very exciting when you go up, and then you reach this peak, and then, suddenly you look at the abyss and boom.
Exactly.
You go down, and it's really scary, and then boom, it turns around. And in the end, it's a season, a season of everything in life. You have the spring, you have the summer where you start seeing rewards, you have the autumn where you reap, and then the winter where many of us are right now, where things are a bit challenging, but after every winter, you have the spring, and companies who really strive now and prepare themselves and reinvent their business, they might come out of this even stronger. Yeah, I just had a call with a startup who's also looking for funding at the moment, and they're greatly affected by this bank collapse, because many of the business angels, they are very rare now, of course, to invest, and some of them have their assets frozen at the moment, and often it's the additional pressure. Yeah, it's like a pressure cooker, the additional pressure which helps to spark some new ideas, it helps to reinvent yourself and things you might not have done if things would have been better, So all the challenges I had in my past business and also in private life, they turned out to be very helpful for my development. They turned out to be actually good. It's not easy to see this when you are in the midst of this hurricane, but it definitely helps when you step back a bit and see the greater picture.
That's a great mindset. That reminds me that it really is. Mindset is everything. You have a great mindset. Everything you just said is about having a great mindset. You got to be positive and see the positives, because some people might go through the hardships that you went through and cry a sob story and say like, oh, this ruined me. My heart was broken. I can never do this again. You have that special personality where you go, thank gosh for that, because it led me on these other great paths. So
life is happening for you and not to you. It's not my statement. It's from Tony Robbins, but I adopt this. I love this. It's so true. So how do you package your services? I mean, when people work with you, how do you stand out against all these other marketing agencies? I heard you do kind of a 360-degree service. So what does it mean?
Yeah, so I call it 360 because some companies just focus on PR, some just do social media, some just do SEO. I do all three because all three work together so well. The example I mentioned before of, having an article on a popular website, I could even relate that to like a news show or something. So if one of our clients wants to be on like an ABC morning news show, for example, we get them on there. They also post on their social media. They post on their website. Now they have that SEO juice and social media promotion. So it's a really cool thing. But what else sets us apart is I was named one of Forbes 30 under 30 last year. I have my doctorate and my master's, and a lot of my team members they have graduate degrees in the industry. Like we really pride ourselves on keeping up and being educated in the field and, understanding the newest advancements so that we make sure that our clients are getting the most ROI possible. So yeah, there's a lot that I'm proud of in how we do things at my company. And I have some really good clients that we've worked with in the past.
And do you focus on a special industry or sector, or is it more that you are open for many clients?
It's mostly startups, and I do include authors as startups because, a book is basically a business. So we work with a lot of authors and even coaches or coaching businesses. But startups, I mean, pretty much every kind of small business you can think of, we worked with, including actually larger businesses that have subdivisions. So, for example, Microsoft's UX division, we wrote like 300 tweets for them, a bunch of white papers and ebooks for them. So, sort of a small business, but and then so you have something like that, which is tech sector. But then we worked with a company that their whole business was fancy napkins. So, the napkins that you see at like weddings and stuff, somebody needs to make them. That's their whole business, is making and selling these beautiful napkins with like gold trim and
It's always interesting what kind of businesses there are out there, and you think, is there a real market for fancy napkins? But obviously it is, and there needs to be someone who supplies these napkins.
Yeah, they're doing great. They sell on Amazon, they sell on their website, they have vendors,
I also love working with startups. I mean, my work as a business angel and an investor, I obviously talk to a lot of them and invest in a few. And what I really love is when I work with a team of founders who are full of energy. I mean, I consider myself as someone with a lot of energy, but honestly, I just invested into a startup in Berlin, and 3 guys, they're around 20, and when I talk to them, there's so much power and so much dedication and energy, and I really feel old. And I think, oh my God, this is also inspiring me. It's giving really receiving energy from these kind of people. And yeah, I love their ideas. And sometimes they want to change the world and they don't have the emotional baggage and the experience we have. So there's not much holding them back. Sometimes you have to slow them down a bit. But when you're older, you've gone through so many things. And I realized that when I assess an idea, you have these different voices, inside your head, and I said, this might not work because I had those experiences in the past. And it's important for us to really not only listen to these experiences in the past, and be open and embrace new things and change. So
absolutely.
So what is the best way to get in touch with you, and where could people find you online? I mean, obviously everywhere, because you are a SEO expert and they just enter your name and the whole Google results are overflooded by Morissa. But what's your favorite way of being contacted?
Sure. If you go onto like any social media site, I'm on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Type in Morissa with an O, Schwartz. I come up everywhere. Yeah. Also Dr. Rissy, because that's my company name. I come up everywhere as that as well. And I'm reachable at all places. I check all my messages and stuff every day. So you're fine wherever your favorite place is.
Awesome. Hey, Morissa, is there anything you want to add to this very interesting and lively conversation we had? Anything you want to share with the audience?
Not really. Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Yeah. So I thank you so much for your time. If any startup, anyone who's resonating with what you said and what you do, check out Morissa's presence. I mean, you see, she's a very open, lively, nice person to talk to, and see what she can help you with. And please don't compare with ChatGPT, because she can add more value, different value, and not get into a competition where you get the fastest response for some headlines.
There you go.
Morissa, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm sure we stay in touch, and I wish you all the best.
Absolutely. Same to you.